up to it. Welcome, my fellow sapiens. I'm Omer, and you're watching You, Me, and Everyone Else, where we unravel the thread of time to discover how we became the remarkable species we are today. Today, we do chapter 8, which is the great migration, the great spreading of Homo sapiens across the globe. We'll be seeing how the dramatic spread of modern humans from Africa to all and every corner of the world. We'll also cover how Sahara Desert acted as a giant pump regulating migration, the coexistence of Neanderthals and Homo sapiens in the Southwest Asia, and the first human settlement in Southeast Asia, Australia, and the Northern Latitudes. By the end of this chapter, we'll learn how early humans navigated diverse environments and survived the last ice age to ultimately dominate the globe. Many scholars believe that Homo sapiens first emerged in tropical Africa about 200,000 years to 150,000 years ago. That's about 8 to 6 generations of the ancestors. But when did we spread out of Africa remains a topic of debate. A major player in this migration was the Sahara Desert, which functioned like a giant pump regulating human movements. So imagine the Sahara Desert in the wetter periods. So around 100,000 years ago, about 4,000 generations ago, the Sahara Desert, which was much more wetter with shallower lakes and grassland. Picture this vast desert, but instead of sand dunes, it was teeming with life. Lush vegetation, rivers, and animals roaming across this fertile plain. During these times, humans could settle deep into the heart of the Sahara, living off the most abundant resources you could think of. Then there was the drier period. So as the Sahara dried up, likely coinciding with the start of the last glacial period, humans were forced to move towards the desert edges, pushing them into Southwest Asia and beyond. Imagine the Sahara turning into a harsh, barren landscape where survival was no longer possible, forcing early humans to seek refuge in more hospitable regions. By 100,000 years ago, roughly 4,000 generations ago, our ancestors may have moved from Sahara into Southwest Asia, potentially following the route along the Nile Valley or crossing the Red Sea. If we see Southwest Asia, the present one, of the most intriguing part of our journey, for instance, where Homo sapiens and Neanderthal lived side by side for tens of thousands of years. Okay, this is where two human species lived alongside, not maybe alongside, but they were in the same time frame, in the same time zone. So if we see the caves in Israel, for example, the modern place of Israel, modern humans in the region were there early as 90,000 to 100,000 years ago. So that's about 3,600 to 4,000 generation. And at the same time, Neanderthals were living nearby, and true groups of these two groups coexisted around 45,000 years ago. That would be approximately 1800 generations, right? So, fun fact, recent genetic evidence shows that while Neanderthals and modern humans may not have interbreeded significantly in Southwest Asia, later interbreeding in Europe and Asia left people outside of Africa with 1 to 2% of Neanderthals' DNA. So, if you're a non African descendant, you've got a bit of Neanderthal in you. How's that for a fun fact? The Neanderthal in this region showed less extreme uh, Arctic features compared to their European cousins. Meanwhile, Homo sapiens were advancing their technology, gradually shifting from core and flake tools to more bladed technology, which was fully developed around 45,000 years ago, about 18,000 generations ago. This gave modern humans a competitive edge as they ventured into more cooler regions further in the north. So if we see a daily life for both Neanderthals and a modern human in Southwest Asia, they adapted to kind of similar environments. They hunted large animals, gathered wild plants, and likely engaged in complex social behavior such as sharing of food or and and caring for their youngers or caring for the older people as well. Tools made from stones and bones were essential for survival, as they used them for hunting, skinning an animal, and preparing food. Then we see the spread to Southeast Asia and beyond. So let's follow the journey east into South and Southeast Asia now, where which saw human settlement by 45,000 years ago, possibly even earlier. But that's about 1800 generations before us. So during the last glaciation, the geography of Southeast Asia was very different. Lower sea levels revealed the subcontinent of Sudan and Suhal, connecting present-day Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam to Australia and other similar places. So picture this vast land bridges that now lie underwater, which allowed humans and animals to migrate across regions that today are separated by sea. And by 40,000 years ago, about 1600 generations ago, people had reached New Guinea with evidence of seafarer by 32,000 years, as early as 32,000 years ago. Early humans were living in caves on the New Ireland, and by 28,000 years ago, they had reached the Solomon Islands. These early navigators were already crossing open waters, laying the foundation for later ocean-going journeys. These early navigators settled in Southeast Asia and Australia, marks some of the earliest evidence of seafaring in human history. These early humans built raft or a simple boat to cross water between islands, right? They weren't just surviving, they were exploring. This ability to cross open water set the stage for future oceanic explorations, eventually leading to settlement of remote islands in the Pacific thousands and thousands of years ago. The first Australian Now, where do we get, where, that's where we get into some controversy. When did humans first reach Australia? Some archaeologists argue for settlement as early as 75,000 years ago, which would be about 2,600 generations, based on controversial evidence like stone tools and ancient charcoal. However, the more widely accepted date is around 45,000 years ago, roughly 1,800 generations, with well documented sites dating back to 35,000 years ago. And by 30,000 years ago, which is about 1,200 generations, human settlements were widespread across Australia and the islands of Tasmania, connected to the mainland at that time, had its first settlers around 35,000 years ago. These early Australian hunted animals like wallabies created rock art and thrived in a diverse environment ranging from coastal areas to arid interior. A daily life in an ancient Australian, uh, they were very resourceful hunters and gatherers. They used spears, boomerang, and stone tools to hunt animals like kangaroos and emus. They also gathered plants, nuts, and tubers. Rock art found in the sites uh, like like them offers a glimpse of into their cultural life, showing intricate paintings of animals, human figures, and possibly representing their spiritual beliefs as well. And if we look now at the expansion into the northern latitude, so now let's turn north. The settlement of colder, more northern region didn't happen until after 45,000 years ago. Once modern humans had developed the technology to survive cold, that's about 1800 generations ago, by 35,000 years, that would be about 40,000 generations. Homo sapiens had replaced the Neanderthals in most of Europe, and small bands of hunters moved into the plains. North of the Black Sea, north of the Black Sea, from there, it wasn't long before humans pushed further into now Siberia. So if we look at the Siberian survivors, the first settlement of northern eastern Siberia happened around 18,000 years ago, about 720 generations ago. These handy groups use sophisticated tools to hunt large animals like mammal and reindeer, relying on fur clothing, shelter made from the bones and the hides, and ability to create fire for warmth. This technological innovation was crucial for their survival in one of the coldest environment inhabited by humans at that time. From there, humans crossed the barren land bridges into America. So humans reached every continent by this time. By 13,000 years ago, which is about 520 generations from now, if we look back, just to give the comprehension of time, modern humans had reached every continent except for Antarctica and some remote Pacific islands. This great diaspora was complete as humans had spread from Africa to the rest of the world. So, this incredible story of how our ancestors left Africa and spread across the globe But the journey didn't just stop there. Humans continue to evolve, adapt, and thrive in the vastly different environment. What do you think it took humans so long to settle in the northern latitude? Why do you think? And how do you think desert like Sahara played a role in the migration? Drop your thoughts in the comment below. If you like. If you super like, share. And thank you very much for joining in another chapter of You, Me, and Everyone Else. Until next time, we'll be talking about the Europeans and settlements in America. Remember, we are all made up of stardust. That's the whole point. Ciao, ciao, amigo.